Welcome to the voice of St. Anthony Parish from Allston, Massachusetts, right here on WROL, 950 AM, 100.3 FM. You can also hear us at CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com. And make sure you tell others where they can find this program and pass the word and let other people know. Well, one of the things that I wanted to talk about over the past several weeks, you've probably seen these articles coming from Matt Taibbi, who Boston, I don't know if you could call him Boston-based at one time, but you may remember his father, Mike Taibbi, who used to work over at Channel 5. I think he went network after that. But, of course, Matt Taibbi, who is a very respected journalist, and he is a respected journalist like all journalists. They are respected as long as you say what people like, and then the minute you say things that certain people don't like, those people will start respecting you for a while, and the rest of people respect you, and then that's going to switch back and forth all the time because that's the role of journalists. My father, of course, wrote for the Globe, so I grew up in that whole industry, in a sense. And so anyway, Matt Taibbi, Bari Weiss, and there's another reporter, you can see all this on Twitter and other things, have been releasing documents that have come out of Twitter that were behind the scenes and basically revealed certain things of what was going on and how they would, and it's pretty obvious a lot of these platforms do this. There is no question. Let me finish my sentence, where they would elevate or promote certain people who agreed with their political positions, and they would what is known as shadow ban people who didn't agree with their positions, which, by the way, is all legal. There's nothing illegal about it. It happens in every form of publishing industry all the time. Form of the publishing industry all the time. There was a magazine, I'm not going to say the name of it, and they said, well, we print everything. We're here to print everything. And then come to find out they wouldn't take pro-life ads. Well, regardless of where you may stand on the pro-life issue, which obviously you know where I stand, if you're saying we print everything, we print every position, but we're not going to print that one, then you're not who you say you are. And I stopped reading the magazine from that point on, out of principle. It's like, don't be who you say you aren't. If you want to come out and you want to say we are the most far left or the most far right magazine in the world, and there are magazines that actually do that, and when I pick up the magazine, I find that it's super far left or super far right. Well, fine. You have said who you are. But if you say we are here for everybody and we're going to print out every position that's there, then you are not, and then you don't, then you're not who you say you are. And that's a position I have. So people were under the impression that Twitter is a platform, and they can basically, anything that's put on Twitter will be treated equally across the board. And now they're finding out that that's absolutely not true. And where if it crossed the line, the legal line, it's if the government was involved in controlling with Twitter. That's a problem, because that's censorship, and the government can't be involved in censorship. So we're looking at that whole thing, and that's been coming out, and people are starting to learn what's behind the scenes. We've learned of people who are targeted and are extremely angry. We have people who are planning to sue, and all this going on. My question to you is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? No, I don't mean it that way, actually. But what I mean is, okay, one of the fascinating things I've found about Twitter, you know that I'm not a big fan of Twitter, although we use it just to let people know about the radio program. But one of the things that I don't like about Twitter is it is really designed for you to give a knee-jerk reaction to someone making a statement. And especially within the Catholic world, there's a thing called Catholic Twitter that I refuse to have any part of. So when I put a hashtag on our tweets, I always put /Catholic. I never put Catholic Twitter because I don't like the direction of Catholic Twitter. But what you'll see is it's designed, and you see this happen all the time. Someone will write something and then someone will react to it. And that's the nature of Twitter. But when it happens in the Catholic world, we're getting down the path to someplace where we as Catholics don't belong. So, and that's why I really focus. There were times I'd love to give a response, but I really focus on very simply just putting out, for the most part, what programs we have, maybe a few other things, but they're all basically announcements. They're never an attack on another person, because then we're getting in a place we don't belong. Yet Twitter is loaded with this, and part of the reason is that's the way the platform is set up. In a sense, it's not literally planned to do that, but if you see someone makes a statement, I hate milk, and then someone's going to write another statement, really? Well, we hate people who hate milk, and then it goes back and forth and back and forth. And it's like, when I see this, especially if you see argued over Catholic things, I go, why are you involved in this? Why are people involved in this? And so that it's very, very important to be careful of that. But the reason why, besides the obvious, is I'm going to talk about on the other side of the break. You're listening to the voice of St. Anthony Parish from Alston, Massachusetts, right here on WROL.
You can now leave a message for us, which we can air and discuss on this program. Just call 617-297-7452.
That's 617-297-7452.
617-297-7452. Feel free to call, leave a comment, a question, or even feedback, and we may play it on the air. I can discuss your comment or question as well, so give that a try.
617-297-7452, 617-297-7452.
I want to call your attention to Catholic TV, which offers great faith-filled, family-friendly programming 24 hours a day. You can find your cable channel at www.getcatholictv.com, and you can watch online on the free apps or check out the YouTube channel. Daily Mass, Rosaries, the Divine Mercy Chaplet, and the Our Lady of Perpetual Help Novena are all available online and on demand. Check out CatholicTV.com.
And don't forget our own website, CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com. Check out our website. Check out the archives of the show. Check out our Substack newsletter. You can check all those things out at CatholicAudiomedia.com. So anyway, we're talking about this whole thing with Twitter. Now, one of the reasons why I say, where do we go with this? Well, one of the things that you can see is, where is the power of Twitter and all these platforms? The power is you not, or them able to silence you if you say something they don't like. And they say this is very Stalin-esque. That kind of thing. I'm not saying that Twitter is being Stalin-esque, but that kind of silencing people who you don't agree with, especially, is Stalin-esque. Okay, because that's the way Stalin used to operate. All right. However, how much power do they have over you? And you could say, well, they have all this power on the platform. But if you're not on the platform, they have no power over you. And that's important to recognize. This is one of the problems with social media. Now, we just had the same problem in Reddit. They gave this recap, and it's a list of everything you did in the year. And there was a list of all these things, and Catholics such as myself came together and said, there was nothing in there about our activity in the Catholic Forum. So they literally, in a sense, just totally, as Stalin would do, he just kind of washed it out, just it didn't exist. And a bunch of people on the Catholic Forum said, would you look at that? So clearly on these social platforms, there is this move to silence their opponents. and one of their opponents is anything to do with faith. We've known that for a long time. Long before Twitter and Facebook and all that, they used to have people who would knock servers offline. So if people put something online that they didn't want there, not the company, that people who were part of these movements, they would be working for these companies, and all of a sudden they would find a way to knock a server offline. And this was going on back, obviously 20 years ago. And then, of course, Twitter came along and Facebook, so they found another way. This has been going on for quite some time, but their power ends with the internet. They're trying to silence people on college campuses and things like that. But there are places that you can speak. And this is one of the reasons why the ancient tradition of the church has never been attending Mass by distance. Because when you attend church, none of this is electronic. One of the things I've said, we're kind of talking about should we get a generator or anything for the church? And the only thing we'd need a generator for, to tell you the truth, for the church, and so it could actually double for the rectory, is to be able to turn on the heat. That's the only thing we would need a generator for, because the church has operated for centuries, for millennia, without electricity. And so that's our most important thing, that be able to turn on the heat. That's the only reason. And one of the things I say about that is that's why when you go to church, that message which is given, it's given an old style, they've been doing that for millennia. Yeah, that's the reason why. Because that's where the Lord will speak, where there is no power of censorship. Something to think about. And anyway, something to think about this weekend as we head into the fourth Sunday of Advent. Have a blessed week. If you would like to support our program, please consider a donation to St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts. There are several ways to consider this. One is to purchase any of our merchandise, which you can find at the shopping tab at CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com. There are coffee mugs there. There's also my latest book, Encounter Christ in Your Humanity, all of which you can find at the shopping tab at CatholicAudiomedia.com. You can also donate to the show directly through either the Donate tab, also at CatholicAudiomedia.com, or by sending a donation through the U.S. Postal Service with your questions and comments at 43 Holton Street, Allston, Massachusetts, 02134. That's St. Anthony Parish, 43 Holton Street, Allston, Massachusetts, 02134. Finally, the best way you can support our parish is to attend Mass on Sundays at 10 o'clock and be a part of our parish. We thank you for any support you would like to give to St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts, the sponsoring parish for this media outreach to Catholics and other Christians in the WROL, WEZE, and podcast listening audience. In Cristo vivimos.